Babylon, reporting on behalf of ParadigmShiftCentral.com, and tonight I am taking part in my first paranormal investigation. We're here in Sarnia, Ontario at the Imperial Theatre, working alongside with CHAPS, a Canadians Haunting and Paranormal Society, which are a branch of the well-known TAPS. So in addition to this actually being a documentation of my own personal experience tonight, it is also about the team and what they do here on a regular basis. Now for me personally, much like life, I want to go into this experience without any expectations and be able to allow anything that comes my way to be able to be experienced within that present moment, while simultaneously hopefully documenting it at the same time. And as for those of you who are familiar with some of my own ideas, yes, I do think that there are energies around us, and yes, I do think that the physical body is not the be-all end-all of the experience of consciousness itself. So in terms of what we can expect from tonight, it's totally up in the air, but I'm just going to continue to make myself as open as possible and to be able to just see what comes our way.
Can you feel the same things that we feel? If I come up to you and you're standing in front of me right now, and I pass my hand through you, can you feel that on a physical level? My name is Dave Gibb. I'm the director for the Canadian Haunting and Paranormal Society, CHAPS. Tonight we're doing an investigation of the Imperial Theatre in Sarnia, Ontario. There's been multiple claims in this building of different voices and shadows and people being seen, doors being closed and touched. So we're kind of hoping to get a hold of some of this evidence-wise on audio and video. So with some hope, my team is going to get some personal experiences out of this and be able to present evidence back to the client. It should be a really interesting night.
Haunted computer monitors from the 1990s. So an opportunity like this, from my point of view, it is a chance for us to become more aware of the subtle energies that are all around us, and even to open up the question of what happens beyond death and the idea that can consciousness exist outside the body.
And frankly tonight, gotta be honest with you, some of our team thought we saw somebody walking by the door. Not outside, physically in here. And that was pretty entertaining for us.
I thought I just saw somebody over there.
Yeah. Okay, that's
Go
excellent.
over here.
That's excellent. You go over there and check that out. All right, so maybe with some luck, if you want to reappear and show yourself to our people, I'm all about having my people have experiences. My personal growth in life, I do have a personal belief that spirits do exist. I think that we have an inane mindset if we don't believe that we go beyond to do something. I think that there's definitely got to be something beyond that veil. I think that we've had enough experiences in our own personal life to possibly justify that. I'm doing what I can, slightly skeptically if it is, to discover that for myself and for my team. My name is Dave, and I am the director of the Paranormal Investigation Team. We have a storage of old equipment, old furniture, and sometimes, you know, the theory is that with old furniture we have emotions tied to those things, and they, you know, there's the idea of what's called psychometry, which is the picking up of vibrations and emotions from such items. And sometimes people, spirits, they live on in these things, and we're hoping to get some of that. If theory is correct, spirits are matter, we're all matter, we're all some form of energy, electricity. So I do think that, you know, you take like an EMF meter, for example. We use that as a tool, as a barometer.
1.1.
Really?
1.4.
This is just a magnet.
And then 0.
Ooh,
Okay, that was interesting.
that's an anomaly. It's happening. It's happening.
It's not a directly scientific tool in the way that it's going to give you scientific result. It more just kind of gives you a thought pattern that is awfully strange. It's somewhere where there shouldn't be an electrical pattern going through. There is right now.
I invite you to come sit beside me and we can chat.
It's very tough to become a member of this team, so we're quite selective about the members we have and the skill sets that they have and how pragmatically they do what they do. I can assure you, if you have taps in your home, you're not about to have a bunch of clowns come in and scream and holler and create a big fuss and try to scare everybody for a sensational movie piece. You're going to have a professional team that comes in there to take care of your needs. There's also a special tool I have that I'm pointing at over here. There's a red light on it where I can't hear your voice. But that right there will hear your voice. And we have special ways of listening to that, and hopefully we'll pick that up. We've done a lot of investigations where you walk out of there and go, yeah, that really wasn't much. And then you go over your audio results, which is where most of what we're looking for comes from. You know, we look for all different kinds of evidence. However, audio, the EVPs, the electrical voice phenomena, is where we tend to get everything. And even on a quiet investigation like this, EVPs show up, you know what I mean? And they can be the most dramatic. You know, we have to discount things, we have to watch the video, we have to, you know, analyze the voices individually to make sure that it wasn't somebody. Probably even 75% of EVPs that we get, we discount based on what we find on the video as being somebody. 20% of them after that, we discount by the fact that they're just not good enough. They're not clear enough. We'd like to be left with what's called, you know, a Class A or Class 1A EVP, which is clear and it has context with what the questions are being asked. I'm not really a big fan of things like noises. Some teams are okay with a breath or a cough. It's just not good enough for us. I want to have an actual, a legitimate response to the questions that I've been asking. Why don't you come give me a shove in my shoulders? If I die, it's okay. I have a life insurance.
So based on some conversation with the CHAPS people, they say that video is quite a rare thing for us to be able to pick up these entities, and oftentimes when we see orbs floating around on cameras, it's usually just dust particle and light bouncing off of things. From my personal point of view, I think the orb phenomenon is something to it. And if you really sort of want to like tie into like some other ideas, you get into the idea of the light body vehicle and the Merkaba being this star tetrahedron that exists in multiple scales and potentially can travel around in little orbs. So sometimes whether we see a UFO in the sky or whether we see an orb on camera floating around in our video, that may be an entity traveling around in this consistent vehicle. For me personally, I have had some stuff that I've picked up in the past, and whether or not that was legitimate, I don't know, but the fact is that it happened. So everything you just take with a grain of salt, and most importantly, have gratitude. Have gratitude for the spirits who you're communicating with, and just being able to recognize them as our fellow self. For me, even the particular idea that in some cases, the state that we exist in after we pass away is very similar to the dream state, and in that sense, in the same way that sometimes we don't realize that we're dreaming, we don't realize that we're dead.
The lucidity of being dead. Now obviously I can't speak for it, I'm not dead, but you know, this is sometimes where we'd end up with possibly what they would consider a noisy ghost or a poltergeist. If you have a ghost that has, or a person has passed on and not realize that they've passed on. I want to know sometimes is that we have spirits that get more active and try to grab things and push things. And they do that because they don't know that they're dead. And I can understand how frustrating it must be to feel like you're still alive, but that person that's standing in front of you can't touch like I'm touching Bryce. And this makes you do angry things, and how frustrating it must be. Are you aware that you've passed on? They're doing the best they can to investigate you. If you think about how frustrating it would be to have somebody you know or somebody you want to talk to in the same room with you, and you're yelling and screaming and they can't hear you. So to me, that's where you kind of get that noisy ghost syndrome. You know, that's where I think that my hypothesis of where the ghosts are trying to contact you or connect to you, I think that's maybe sometimes it gets through that veil. Give us your emotions. Make us feel your emotions. Give us your feelings. We feel that pain, but then what you've got to... Did you guys move? That was over here.
Is it time?
Wonderful. Wonderful. Firmly in the shoulder?
Yeah, on my left shoulder.
Still?
I already have it.
What what's your name with him? Still there.
Tyler, was that you up there?
Yeah.
Do you, like, what did you experience while you were just up there?
Basically like a firm hand just right here, but it was as if somebody was standing behind me, like their hand going like this on me.
Have you had similar experiences of that previously?
Yeah, I have had like 1 or 2 experiences like that, but it was just, this was a little more definite than normal.
Why do I do what I do? Again, you know, like I said, I grew up a spiritualist, so I was always sort of open-minded to it. So that doesn't play into too much of what I do. I've had experiences beginning in Gettysburg years ago that made me realize I wanted to discover further what is going on, because everybody you know has a ghost story. Every relative you know has a story. You grow up, you see things, and you got to think to yourself, this isn't all just got a physical explanation. People should be interested to see it, you know, because it might answer questions that might bring them some peace. You know, they might have us come help them out. That might give them closure. It's happened for many families that we've assisted, where they've had some questions answered to themselves. But this is why we do what we do, not because I know that they're there, not because I'm a ghost hunter or a ghost buster, but because I'm not quite sure yet, and I want to find that proof.
I think it's just really cool to be open-minded about an opportunity like this and to continue to question, to continue to just think about this reality around us and the possibilities that are just infinite.
I want to thank you for spending the time with us. We're here out of nothing but respect, and want to again thank you for your time. We're going to move on. Please do a song and dance in front of the camera.
If we can do that, if we can really approach this whole paranormal investigation with a level-headed, mindful approach, I think it opens up the possibilities, and perhaps that's something that we can work more towards, is being able to establish more of a connection between where we are in this physical dimension and the entities and the intelligence that exists slightly beyond it. So for me, that's something I'm personally interested in, and stay tuned, because we might be hearing a little more about that a little later on. So.